A bigger day for North East football, with the region's big three all dangling precariously around the drop zone. Tonight's derby between Newcastle and Middlesbrough is being billed as a make-or-break scrap for Premier League survival.
Yeah, both clubs sit 3 points adrift at the bottom of the Premier League with 3 to play, so nothing other than a win will do for either side.
Let's get the latest from St James's Park and our reporter David Warner.
Yes, well, it's building up very nicely here. Just under 3 hours towards kick-off. You can sense a bit more of the anticipation, a bit more of the nerves as we approach that 8 o'clock kick-off. Newcastle versus Middlesbrough here at St James's Park. Well, joining me now is the editor of the Players Inc. North East Football magazine, Steve Wraith, and incidentally a Newcastle fan. Steve, are your nerves getting to you just yet?
No, not really. I'm quite relaxed. I think I was pretty much the same before the Portsmouth game. It's going to be a very tense occasion for both sets of supporters. Let's just hope that Newcastle United's team can come out and dominate from the early stages and get an early goal. I think that's the key to success tonight. I think if Newcastle can step up to the plate, get an early goal, I think it'll knock the wind out of Middlesbrough's sails, and Newcastle should go on to win the game. I mean, let's make no bones about it. It's two poor teams playing tonight. The league table doesn't lie, and all they're really playing for here is Premiership survival, and it's a crying shame when you look at that stadium behind, to think that Newcastle United's come to this, but it's a grim reality, and I think that's probably the reason I don't feel as nervous. I think Newcastle United fans have been desensitised, over the last couple of seasons, and we've got to face the reality. We're in a scrap, and let's hope that Shearer can get them fired up tonight.
Have you known anything in your years following North East football as much riding on a game like this?
I have actually. I was down at Middlesbrough, and me and my dad actually went down to the Middlesbrough game when Newcastle needed to win to get promoted.
1990 was that?
Yeah. It was the year we got beat off Sunderland in the playoffs, and Newcastle lost 4-1. They didn't turn up on the day. Middlesbrough needed to win to stay up. Newcastle United needed to win to go up. And as I say, Middlesbrough just turned it on. I think it was Bernie Slavin and Ian Baird who did the damage that day. Newcastle scored with an own goal. And it was, a massive occasion. Newcastle didn't turn up on the day, and I'm just hoping that isn't the case tonight. But the statistics point to probably it being a draw, which isn't really isn't really any good for either team. Gareth Southgate has got a really good record against Newcastle United. I think they've played 4 times, and Gareth Southgate's managed to get 3 draws and a win. Scored 4 goals, conceded 3. All the stats point to probably a draw, and as I say, that's no good to either team.
Things haven't really gone quite as well for Gareth Southgate as he would have liked, but neither for Alan Shearer in his first 5 games in charge. Why, as a Newcastle fan, do you think that he hasn't quite managed to get it to click yet?
Because you can only deal with the players that you've got, and this isn't Alan Shearer's team. This is an amalgamation of Kevin Keegan, Joe Kinnear's, Dennis Wise's players, and three people have had 3 different opinions on who should be brought into the club, and that's the mess we're left with. Alan can only pick what he's got, and already tonight we've had the withdrawal of Obafemi Martins from the squad, which is disappointing for Newcastle United fans and Newcastle United's team. But Oba hasn't been himself the last couple of weeks. He's obviously carrying an injury. He's come out and said that he's carrying an injury. He's been away to see specialists. If you believe the papers, he's refused to take pain-killing injections before the game, which obviously is his right. So bottom line is, if he's not fit, he can't play, and if he's withdrawn from the squad, I think he's doing the right thing. Looks like we'll have to go with Owen Viduka up front. Let's hope we'll get a reaction from Michael Owen after he was dropped at Liverpool.
Yeah, he was dropped, of course, from that game. A very important game, but not as important as it is tonight. Do you think any of the newspaper stories about rumours of Celtic being interested, rumours of Everton and Michael Owen's future being very much up in the air, do you think that's going to distract him at the moment?
I don't think so. Michael's a professional. He'll go in and he'll do his job to the best of his ability. Let's not forget he's still the top scorer. He scored 10 goals. But in stark reality, he hasn't had the service. And I think Michael Owen, in a team which passes the ball to him in the right positions and plays him, in the right positions, will no doubt get goals from him, and I think he's still capable of scoring 15 to 20 goals. I don't believe I don't believe that people who say that Michael Owen's finished. I think if he plays in a team which gives him the right supply, he will score goals. I'm sure Alan Shearer sees that as well, but he's going through a bad run of form. All strikers do. Let's just hope tonight that that ends, and he gets a goal. Similarly with Mark Viduka, it's a huge game for Mark Viduka. Pace-wise, he can't compete in the Premier League anymore, but he's still got the footballing brain. He came on as a substitute down at Middlesbrough, and he almost got a goal down there in the fixture earlier on in the season. And my money, I think, will go on Mark Viduka tonight. I think Mark Viduka will play a pivotal role, and he may come up with a goal which undoubtedly causes a lot of trouble for Middlesbrough.
You've talked about Newcastle's potential threats. You obviously cover with your magazine all three North East clubs. Where's the threat going to come from Middlesbrough?
Never write Alves off. He's had a terrible season by his own standards. I think he's struggled to settle in. But for these big games, there's always a hero. Stuart Downing is obviously still one of the best left-sided players in the country, and potentially could cause Newcastle United a lot of damage if Newcastle don't get a hold of him early on. But I think those two pose a positive threat. I think looking at Middlesbrough's season, they've lacked consistency for the last few years. The money does seem to have dried up. Steve Gibson's done a tremendous job down in Middlesbrough, you can't deny that. But the money does seem to have dried up, and I think that's what's put Middlesbrough in that predicament. The squad wasn't big enough at the start of the season, and they have undoubtedly got talented players there, but they just don't have enough, and they similarly find themselves in the same position as Newcastle United, desperate for points, struggling at the wrong end of the table and hoping to get out of it. But it's just a pity that one of the North East teams is undoubtedly going to go. Sunderland still on out of it. They got a good point at Bolton. They deserved 3, but by all accounts. But it's just it's sad for the North East.
Very finally, Steve, where's your money going tonight?
My money's definitely going, on Newcastle. My heart says Newcastle. I suppose my head says a draw with the statistics. But I think Newcastle United attackers and an attacking option have got better players. Viduka Renaud on the day, should be able to put the ball in the back of net a couple of times. I fancy Newcastle, for at least a 2-0 win.
But is it win or bust?
It is win or bust. I think whoever loses tonight will have had this the wind knocked out of their sails, and I think to be fair, whichever team does lose will struggle to come back from it.
Okay, well, thanks very much for that, Steve. That's the view of Steve Wraith, the editor of the Players Inc. fanzine. He's going to be going to the match, as am I, in the next few hours. I'm sure we're all looking forward to it, and for Steve's sake, I hope the team that he wants to win comes out on top.
David, thanks very much. Enjoy the game.
And a reminder, you can see tonight's crucial Tyne Tees derby live on Sky.